What a bullet! Scott Arfield! He's been threatening that recently, and all the Burnley players run to the Darwin end.
Burnley will win the next ball. It's Rory now. On the outside, decent.
He got it! Ashley Barnes with it! What a cross from Rory! And there was Ashley Barnes, and Burnley leading the derby.
Knocks it quickly, finds Benson in space at the byline. Can Burnley get a goal here? Back for Brownell, saved by the keeper.
Burnley won it to the end. That is magnificent. They deserve that.
Only by Paul Teller, off for a hat-trick.
He's got it. Hat-trick for Nathan Teller. Oh, he's on fire at the minute. 3-0 Burnley. It's Nathan Teller's day.
Burnley are 3 up here. Fantastic derby. Here's Benson. Can he go on the outside? Comes inside. Top shot.
Oh, the goal. Manuel Benson once more. That is top class.
Burnley have done it. Fantastic. Clarets deserve the championship title. They've been the best side throughout the campaign. Burnley have won the second tier. What a fantastic achievement. The players have been magnificent.
Yes, hello everyone and welcome along to the latest instalment of the Turfcast podcast pre-game show with me, Joe Redmond, ahead of what promises to be, hopefully, a massive Easter weekend for the Clarets. We could all be sat here on Easter Monday as a Premier League football club once again, because it doesn't matter what Sheffield United do. If we win our next 2 games, because one of them is against Sheffield United, we will be a Premier League football club again. But we know how quickly things can change. It wasn't that long ago that Leeds United were third. Leeds United are now top. Sheffield United have lost 3 games in a row and suddenly find themselves looking like they are destined for the playoffs. So let's not get too complacent, Clarets. A lot of things can happen between now and then. And we are playing a Watford side on Good Friday that have been a little bit inconsistent. And I will obviously be bringing in a Watford fan, as I usually do for the pre-game show, or in this occasion, Watford fans. But let's just concentrate on the Clarets just for a second, because like I said, there are quite a few permutations that could be happening over the next couple of games, because of course if we lose to Watford, then lose to Blades, we're back down in third. But thankfully, because of Burnley's decent results recently, coupled with the Sheffield United collapse, we now have the luxury of not even winning the next 2 and still being in second position. If we draw against Watford and then lose against Blades, we will still be in second position. If we lose them both, that's different. But like I said, if we win them both, then we will be a Premier League football club once more. And if Sheffield United lose against Cardiff, I know it's unlikely, but it was unlikely that they'd lose against Oxford, and it was unlikely that they'd lose against Plymouth, and they did. If Sheffield United lose against Cardiff City and we beat Watford on Good Friday, we could stink the gaff out like we did against Leeds, get a 0-0 and get promoted at home with a 0-0 against Sheffield United. How poetic would that be? Boring Burnley, getting promoted with a 0-0. But anyway, enough about Burnley, enough about me. It's time to talk about Burnley versus Watford. And I'm pleased to introduce the Do Not Scratch Your Eyes lads. We've got Pete, we've got Justin, we've got Carlos. How are we all doing, gents?
Living a dream.
Yes. Genuinely, I look forward to playing Watford because of you 3. I genuinely love playing Watford. It's genuinely my favourite podcast of the year. I love it. Not many other podcasters put even a second person up. Most people just go, oh, I might not be able to do it. I might be able to get Danny to do it, or this guy might be. You lot, we're recording this now. It's past 10 o'clock. It's past 10 o'clock. I've done a 12-hour shift, yet we're all here, sat here recording the podcast. So, gents, thank you. It's always good to see all 3 of you. Carlos, you couldn't make it last time when we played at home. So it's good to see you, mate. How are we all anyway? Are we all good on a personal level? How are we all?
We're all good. I don't think any of us want to be playing Burnley on Good Friday, but nonetheless,
I don't think anyone does.
We shall crack on.
Yeah. Fingers crossed, obviously. We've come out the other side of it, but let's get into it then. Let's talk to you about your season so far. I will let you guys choose. In fact, I tell you what, we'll go in order of screen and I will ask questions and I will let you know which ones I'm asking it, but feel free, lads, just to dive in at any point. Watford, talk to me about your season so far then, because I looked at Watford, and I know I said it in the introduction then, and there was times at the season where you were knocking on the door of the playoffs and it looking like you might be able to get a playoff position. But recently, your form hasn't been great. You've lost 3 out of your last 5, winning only 1 and drawing, and you've dropped that far down the league, Pete. I'll start with you. That you're even below Blackburn Rovers now in 11th position, to the point where you're only 2 points ahead of Swansea. You were looking over the shoulders not long ago. So is it fair to say you've been inconsistent, or have you just been poor as the season's gone on? Talk to me about your season so far.
The only thing this season that has been consistent is our inconsistency. That's it. We started off very nicely. Thank you very much indeed. The squad was not assembled particularly well. I think that's probably an understatement. It is very thin, and we are now at the back end of the league. And, you know, we've picked up suspensions. We've picked up injuries to key players. Anybody who has followed Watford over the last few years, its financial woes, etc., may not know that, for example, João Pedro, you know, we can still sign a decent player. João Pedro, you know, kind of kicking it up at Brighton. When we sold him still in April. And we have a suspicion that the likes of Chak Fatadza and Quadro Bar, whilst both also kind of maybe having a bit of a knock, are probably going to exit this year and probably being protected to make sure they don't pick anything else up, because we'll need the money. So, I think the clever money is not going to be on Watford necessarily upsetting the form table at Vicarage Road at the weekend.
Well, we'll get into predictions and stuff later on, but I'm sure that will be music to the Burnley fans' ears. Carlos, I'll come to you then. Why have you been so inconsistent? Is it, as Pete says, sort of like down to injuries and suspensions and things like that, or is it just the squad just isn't deep enough? It's just not good enough?
Yeah, the Tom Cleverley's been let down in the January transfer window. We were crying out for strikers. You know, other areas of the field were also required, but not a lot happened, and not through anybody's fault as such. There is a little bit of a dark cloud looming over the ownership at the moment of the club, and unfortunately, it's a bit of a repeat of things that have happened over the last couple of seasons with Watford, and we are threadbare in terms of our squads. We're relying heavily on some young players and some young players that haven't got championship, you know, pedigree or have even played in the championship before. Rocco Vata that's came in from Scotland. I think he'd only played for Celtic maybe once or twice before joining us. He's brilliant talent. Yeah, brilliant talent, but not a player or part of a team that's going to really push for the playoffs. And we have been unlucky with injuries. That has played a massive part. But there is a side story to it all, unfortunately, and it comes down to, as Pete just said there, it comes down to finances, and a lot of people are waiting for this season to end now just to see what happens in the summer.
Yeah, I know you've referenced there, Carlos, and I'll come to you on this one, Justin. The sort of like issues at the top with it's the Pozzo family that owns Watford, isn't it? And they have done for quite a while now. Seen us on the outside as quite eccentric because they've been, you know, hiring and firing managers, as you know, as that tends to be the running joke with Watford. However, you have sort of like settled on a manager at the minute. I'll get into Tom Cleverley later on, but talk about the issues you do have with the ownership.
Where do you start with that? Well, he doesn't seem to really want to have Watford anymore, I don't think. I just think he's lost interest completely. Our recruitment has been terrible for the past 2 or 3 seasons, mainly because it looks like we haven't got much money. Our accounts that were filed, our most recent set of accounts that were filed, don't make for particularly nice reading. So I think he is actively trying to sell the club. I mean, he is looking for other investment and or someone else to buy it off him, but his price is ridiculous. I mean, you know, you can try and sell a 50 quid car for 10 grand, but at the end of the day, it's worth 50 quid. So, yeah, there's a lot of unrest surrounding his ownership. There are people that are vehemently trying to see him go. I think most fans are a bit bored of it all now. So I would think that, I mean, you were talking there about managerial changes. Yeah, that was fun in January. Some of the rumours that were flying around. I wouldn't put your money on Tom starting next season. So yeah, it's a bit of a mess, and there is a lot of unease amongst the fan base towards Gino Pozzo, definitely.
I like the fact there, Justin, that you, well, not you personally, but Watford Football Club were the 50 quid car in that analogy. Love that.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe perhaps I had undervalued the club a little bit there, but I mean, his price is just ridiculous. It really is, and he's, I think it's just putting people off buying it, frankly.
Yeah, fair enough. There does seem to be a few Championship clubs with a few owner issues at the minute. Thankfully, as it stands, touch wood. Burnley aren't one of them, but thankfully, touch wood, Blackburn Rovers are. But anyway, enough said about them. Pete, we'll come to you again because I do want to talk to you about your home form. For all the sort of like inconsistencies and stuff like that, I've just quickly got the home form, sort of like the home table up now, if you will. 12 wins at home. That's a decent return. Burnley have only won 12 games at home. You have been defeated 6 times at home, though, and 3 draws. So are you more of a difficult nut to crack down at Vicarage Road than what you are on the road?
I said the only consistency was inconsistency, and it heralds it here. We won, or rather, we went unbeaten. I think it was 17 games in total from the back end of last year under Cleverley, and then we lost 6 out of 7 at home. So it's gone in kind of waves.
Yeah, I remember that actually.
Suddenly we couldn't get a win for anything, and as it's kind of like then moved on. We've had some. We've had some fortune having been up there, and then kind of tipped back down a little bit. Now that's a consistent thing over seasons for Watford. We get to January, and I mean, to say we're on the beach, I think next year's sponsor will be Ombre Solaire. I mean, we just turn off come February completely. And it's happened a little bit again. They are trying, we do have a lot of time for Tom Cleverley. He is literally the kind of, for a Bradford lad, he's still considered one of our own. And we've fought hard to try to keep him. 1,000 odd plus people emailed the club when the rumours came out in January to want to try to keep him. And that was when we were going through the bad patch. Everybody knows that, he hasn't got what would allow him to do what Scott Parker has managed to do for Burnley, for example. He just hasn't got the tools. We have literally 1.5 forwards, and I'm using the half.
More than us. In terms of strikers, it's more than us.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just kind of there's no real attacking depth. We've got 3 players who can do a lot, and 2 of them I've just mentioned, and they're not going to be playing. So an awful lot goes on the shoulders, as Carl said, of young Rocco Vata, who we've come in. He's been a bright spark in moments, but he had an illness last year. He's had another virus this year. So he's you can see he needs kind of building back up. He needs basically a close season and a pre-season again. But it's a little bit problematic. The one highlight is going to be, I would suggest, Imran Loser in midfield, who's been tremendous. But I would imagine that in the summer, he will be being cashed in upon.
Yep, fair enough. Justin, I want to come to you actually next on this one, because I did have written down one of my questions was what happened with Tom Cleverley in January, because outside looking in again, it was looking like you were just going to batshit crazily sack your manager for no real reason. But then obviously you're still here at the time of recording. Probably have to always say that when you're talking to Watford fans. At the time of recording, he is still the manager. So what did actually happen with all this January nonsense with Tom Cleverley and potentially getting sacked and then not getting sacked?
Well, it was all a bit odd. So there were credible rumours going around that he was going to be replaced. We had several people that we know and trust around us that told us that there was a real threat to his head coach reign. So we kind of took that on good faith and sort of let our listeners know, look, there is rumours circling around Tom Cleverley being replaced. If you don't want to see that happen, then email the club and let them know you don't want that to happen. We also did a thing where we asked people to shine lights on their torch, on their phone, on the 72nd minute of a couple of games. One of them was at midday or whatever, so the impact was possibly lost a bit there. So on the Thursday, there was, to put these rumours to bed, there was a social media message that went out saying Tom Cleverley will be the manager for the forthcoming Coventry game. And you think, well, that's an unusual thing to put out because we kind of expect that anyway. And then on the day of the Coventry game, another one came out saying Tom is backed very, very much so by the owners and the board here at Watford, and he will remain the head coach for the remainder of the season. So it was all a bit bizarre. I mean, we didn't know what was going on. I'm not sure we still do really know what's going on. Is there anything you can add to that, Peter, or have I actually? No, because you're more of a. I mean, is there anything I can add to that isn't going to,
Well, that's the quintessential question. We know he was being let go. We also had rumours coming out from Spain of a gentleman called Pacheta. They kind of all have 15 names, so they shorten it down to one that everybody else can pronounce. And the rumours were that it was only a work permit delay that meant that he wasn't going after Coventry. There are also lots of other things that went on the go where, we were being, batshit crazy per normal. And it was only, either a combination of a lot of fans kind of voicing their opinion because we'd found out before it happens, because that had never happened before, but more likely logistical issues and then conversations and a lot of brinksmanship. But Tom's not been brilliantly dealt with at all in the club, and the club has you only just have to look at our track record to see the fact that he has survived through till now, and the fact that everybody still wants to back him, even though we've gone through, we went through, as I say, 6 defeats out of 7 at home. And it's not been the greatest, and we've had performances that haven't been there. But he is quintessentially trying to make a silk purse out of a sow's ear of a squad, because he's not in charge of who he gets. The January transfer window, we were let down because we know that they were going to be making a change midway through January, and then we came out of that January. We got to talk to the CEO and to Scott Duxbury, and they rolled out the corporate flag and kind of waved it, and we're all together, and that's good, good corporate husbandry. But you'd also had the technical director suddenly wanting to talk to the local journo in the local paper about it, and he was saying, well, the reason why there isn't anything because Tom only wants what he wants, and he wants 5 players, and if he doesn't get those, he doesn't want anybody. And it was everything has been basically thrown back at him in terms of that. Oh, it's not us, it's his fault. We could have got lots of players for him. He could have had, of course, but not. The fact that we don't have the proverbial pot to piss in has an awful lot of the reason why we haven't done it. And we can't put the club further into debt, because whilst we have worked it a little bit better, we are a cautionary tale that when a yo-yo club yo-yos down and doesn't go back up again, it can be tricky. I'm glad to hear that you don't have the
I was just gonna say that could be a slight glimpse into Burnley's future, but without the mental owners. I mean, it's one of them, isn't it? Like, just look at yourselves, Stoke. If you're one of them teams that doesn't bounce, the best time to bounce back up to the Prem is at the first year, because that's when you still have a lot of the squad, you still have a lot of the money. The longer you stay in the Championship, the further down you go, and then you could end up, doing what Luton are doing. I know they've done it very, very quickly, which I'm sure you guys are very, very happy to see.
Brilliant news.
There's obviously other clubs as well that have just slowly just crept into that Championship relegation zone and then taken to come back.
Look at Reading. Reading are
who knows
what's going to happen. Yeah,
mental owner.
Crazy.
Actually, sticking with the Cleverley one, and Carlos, I'll stick with you on this one. Pete did say then that he is very much universally backed by the fans. Is that a fair comment? Do all the fans love Cleverley at Watford?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he's got a lot of stock within the supporter group. Obviously, as a player, captain, when he came in on loan when he was a youngster from Man United, he hit the ground running. So, we've kind of got I think a lot of fans feel that they've got a relationship with Tom because he's been at the club a long time. And look, I don't think anybody's really surprised that Tom Cleverley makes mistakes as a coach or a manager. Because it's his first gig in a Championship side, and there are areas of what he does and how he sets teams up and his substitutions and whatever. But it's fine. That's fine. I've got no problem with that. But what we need at the club is stability, and that's, sacking managers as you've already, and you joke about, and it's water off the ducks back to us, because it is crazy even for us. It happens. We're just like, what is happening here? But now it kind of feels a little bit personal, because we have got that relationship with the manager, and we haven't had that for a very, very long time. So it's difficult now. And when you look at what's going on upstairs, it is bordering a big problem, and a big split, a divide between supporters and club, and it's something that needs rectifying as soon as possible, really. And the only way that's going to happen is Mr. Pozzo goes off to Italy and looks after Udinese and leaves us to it. But we'll see when that happens.
There are now some dissenting voices about him over the last few weeks, and the fact that we're playing too much kind of tip-tap football around the back. We're having lots of possession, but not really creating that much. A few people would like us to have a bit more cutting edge. Problem is, 1.5 strikers. One of them is a 19-year-old, and the other is he's the top scorer for us with 10 goals, but he scored, 4 of those away at Sheffield Wednesday on a day when basically the moon and stars aligned. It was odd. So yeah.
I'm glad you were talking there sort of about how you play, because that brings me on nicely to my next question. And I was going to come to you, Pete, actually. So this is how you set up, according to the BBC, this is how you set up in your game, your last time out against West Brom, where I think you lost 2-1, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Are you expecting Watford to set up in a similar way to this, or do you do things a little bit differently when you're at home?
Well, we'll play this 4-2-3-1, but it is quite flexible. So you might see Wiley and Ngakia in the fullback positions, act as wing backs, and Loser basically kind of go in between Pollock and Abankwah, who'll split wide. So Loser has been a tremendous resurgence and revival this season for us, and he will play that sort of quarterback role. The second attacking line of Sissoko, Kayembe, and Ince, we would hope to see something slightly more spring chicken than Sissoko and Ince are both pushing towards the end of their careers, and therefore when we played, we really didn't have that much pace. We had one run from Sissoko in behind the line, and Loser found him with another fantastic ball, dissected the defence, and he ran through and did it. Other than that, we just have little or no penetration through to the back line of the opposition, and that's just a massive issue, and one that, in fairness, Tom's had quite a lot of the season and hasn't really quite got to grips with it. But as I say, he's playing poker with only half the deck.
Yeah, fair enough. And little to no penetration sounds perfect for Burnley fans, because even teams that do have very good players going forward do find it difficult to score against us. Carlos, I'll come next to you on this one, because I have a feeling I know what your answer is going to be. Who are your danger men? Who should Burnley be worried about?
Yeah, well, Pete's mentioned him quite a few times. Obviously, Imran Loser. Rocco Vata that I mentioned, he won't start, but he'll certainly come on at some point. But one player I would mention who did play for us, and in terms of energy, in terms of his enthusiasm, Doumbia, who's at the front. There is a player there. He is young, he's got a lot to learn, but he's certainly he's quite physical, bit of pace with him as well. I think he's got it. He's got the ability. It's just a little bit too early for him in his career at the moment. Again, no real history in England at all before he came to us. So, yeah, he's one to look out for. But I think in terms of where any danger is going to come from, that's Loser in the midfield, picking those passes. I think if you take him out the game, you pretty much smother Watford, and it should be a nice, enjoyable day in the rain at Vicarage Road for you.
Fingers crossed it's not raining for a start, but fingers crossed. Obviously, we can keep him quiet. I think we did keep him quiet at Turf Moor. That game kind of escapes me, if I'm being honest with you. I can't remember too much of what happened in it.
Neither can we, by the sound of things.
He's had a resurgence since around November time, and it's one of those whereby he was back in and around the squad, because it was December time, wasn't it? But he's really sort of started motoring unfortunately, right at the same time as the team has kind of started to be a little bit further down. But if you take him out, as Carl says, if you smother him, it's going to be pretty hard for us to do something. Bearing in mind, Chakfatadze and Quadro Bar have been the ball carriers and indeed the match winners, respectively, a lot of the rest of the time. Without those two in the squad, which they won't be, I think it's going to be hard to see past a Burnley victory.
Yeah, well, like I said, we'll get on to predictions later on. Justin, I want to come to you next. Injuries and suspensions. Any major injuries or suspensions on the Watford side of things?
Yeah, Chakfatadze and Bar. I mean, they're the ones we're really missing. Yeah. I mean, without them, we're neutered basically. So yeah, they're the ones. Frankly, are there any others?
We've got a couple coming back, haven't we? There's a few players that have been out for a while. There's a few players on the fringes are coming back, but again, we don't know if they certainly won't be ready for the Burnley game. But yeah, the Bar and Chakfatadze is a massive loss for us. You can just from you can see the difference straight away as soon as they're not on the field. The players you can see looking around, going, "Where do we go? What happens now?" So it's a shame it's happened at the wrong time, but yeah, we are threadbare to say the least.
The flip side in terms of the positives from January would have been towards
the positives.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, right.
There are. So James Abankwah, who is on loan from Udinese as a centre back, he now partners Matty Pollock, who's been very good. But we brought in a new goalkeeper because Dan Backman has been injured and also somewhat erratic for on and off. How long's he been here? About 7 years.
7 years.
And he's never quite failed to win over the Vicarage Road faithful. We brought in a gentleman called Selvik. He was signed on a free by Udinese, and then 10 days or 12 days later was signed by us for about 2 million. So, some money kind of transferred from one pocket to another in the Pozzo family arena. And we've got him, and he has been really good. Yes, we will still concede because we can ship them. We really can, but he's really good with his feet. So we are, along with so many teams, trying to play this kind of pep ball, and Dan Backman couldn't do it because his distribution wasn't there. This guy can do a bit. He's a calming influence. He will claim crosses. He will do well. Somebody will, I am sure, pick him up for a song at some point. But hopefully he will do some good service for us. So there are some good things. It's just everywhere else is kind of the whole thing is a duvet that's not big enough to either pull up or cover your feet at the same time. He's working with.
Love that analogy, to be fair. Let's get on to predictions then. I'll start with you, Pete. We'll go in screen order. I want a couple of predictions from you, but first of all, we'll stick to the score. What will the score be on Good Friday?
Well, I don't let anybody on ours use 1-1, and it upsets Justin greatly. So whenever I'm asked, I always say 1-1 as a matter of principle.
Who's scoring the one, Peter? Who is scoring the one?
It'll be a Burnley own goal. Josh Brownhill will run 60 yards to put it past his own keeper, but then score the equaliser at the other end.
That'll be an interesting evening for Brownhill. The Brownhill haters and the Brownhill lovers won't really know what to do. They'll be arguing with each other. Justin.
Yes, I'm going to be a bit more pessimistic. I can't see us scoring a goal. I think we're going to lose 3-0.
3-0, wow. I absolutely will take that. Carlos?
I think we'll score a goal, but we'll still concede 3. So I'll go 3-1.
3? Well, last time we scored 3 away from home, just off the top of my head. I can't actually remember it. There's probably people already shouting at the screen. Derby, 0. Coventry, 2. Swansea 2, Luton was at home, Cardiff 2. It's been a while, lads. It's been a while since we scored 3 goals.
Your Easter gift.
Yeah,
Easter gift for you there.
Welcome to Vicarage Road.
Yeah. Plymouth Argyle, 22nd of January when we won 5-0. Thanks for the weekend, by the way, Plymouth fans. If you are watching, no Plymouth fan in the world is going to be watching a pre-game show for Burnley for Watford versus Burnley, should I say? Last week I got
Venn diagram, isn't it? Plymouth fans watching us lot.
Yeah. Last week I got told off because I started talking after the opposition fan gave his preview, then I forgot to give my preview. So I'm going to make sure I give my preview this week. I'm going Watford 0, Burnley 2. I think the Clarets do it, and I think they take a huge step towards the Premier League. Like I said, if we go to Vicarage Road and win, we can seal promotion against Sheffield United at Turf Moor. Lads, I'll ask for another prediction. I'll go in the opposite direction this time. So coming to you, Carlos, first. Will Burnley get promoted? Yes or no?
Oh, without doubt. Yeah, you'll get promoted. What I'd really love is for Burnley and Sheffield United to go up and Leeds to stay down. That would cheer me up.
So do you think we'll get top two?
Yeah. I think you get top two. Yeah, you get top two. Yeah.
Take that. Justin, the beautiful thing about me going the opposite way is you're in the middle again. So middle ground, Justin, what's your prediction, please? Do you think Burnley will get top two?
Same as Carlos. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep,
Full
that's
house
it.
from you, Pete?
No, I think you're going to blow it in the last 4. Yes, of course you're going to go up. Stop touting forwards. Yeah, no.
It's just easy clicks, mate. It's just easy clicks.
No, you've been fantastically solid. You only lost 2 all season. You have been as solid as Luton have been porous. Just have to say that. I have to say that.
Yeah, well done. No, yeah, you did very well there. Lads, we will start wrapping it up there. But before I do, Pete, I'll stick with you. Do you want to let everyone know where they can find your Watford content?
Yeah, we're on Twitter and everything, kind of all the social medias that you'd expect. Go to DNSYE_podcast or go to donotscratchyoureyes.com, which has got links to everywhere else, etc. And yeah, so there we are. We've got a YouTube with the same account. Carlos, what's the address for the YouTube?
No pressure, Pete. Thank you for that.
That's all right. Throw it across.
I think you took it up now. Every year, Carlos, to that question.
Exactly. Oh God. It is at DNSYE podcast.
There you go.
Yes. Thank you.
And we flirt with TikTok occasionally as well.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I'm like that. I'm like that. I've started trying to dabble in it. Someone called me some choice names on there this week. I tend to get told I look like Mr. Beast regularly on TikTok as well. People just aren't very nice to me on there.
Well, if you had his bank account, you take that.
That's what I always say. But annoyingly enough, like how people keep creating these sort of action figure things, like it's this new Chat GPT action figure that everybody's done their own of.
Guilty.
Yeah. I didn't do one. I created a power pod. Do you remember power pods?
Yes.
I thought, I don't want to do an action figure. I want to do a power pod. And it just made me look even more like Mr. Beast. And I was like, well, I can't tweet that. I showed it me little boy's, like my partner yesterday, and she's like, you look like Mr. Beast on it. I was like, well, I can't share that anymore.
Well, I can't share
what
that
have I just done? I've showed the entire world on the podcast anyway. But I just thought I'd do something different. One other thing I do get told off at regularly is I don't put links to opposition fans' previews in my description. So what I'm going to do this week is that there will be a link to the description, to get to the DNSYE podcast. And we have just recorded a pre-game show on your channel, haven't we? Will that be out by the time this is out tomorrow evening? Can I link that?
Oh, yeah.
In the description?
This will be out tomorrow.
You need to warn the good people of Burnley, though, that there are tins of soup, dogs, and backgammon sets and all kinds of things involved in it that perhaps isn't usual.
They can also take part in the game show that you took part in about your wonderful place that you live and your football team for the one question. So there's plenty for everyone in that.
Yeah, can't recommend the lads enough, and can't recommend the pre-game show we did on your channel enough as well. It's always something a little bit different. And can I say, lads, I know I said this last time, but the production levels have gone through the roof since last time we played each other. Well, since last time we were in the Championship, shall I say. You're bringing in pictures, you're bringing in league tables. I love it.
You say production value, you mean cocking about, and you're quite right. Yes, we do.
Yes, we like that. We do.
Yeah. But,
despite this, like said, no win in any awards, no FCA win, nothing. You've got your nice silver award there.
Yeah.
Go and show, because we've not seen one. Look at that.
That's lovely.
That's not a win. That's the first loser. I've said that a million times.
We won a fork.
You've got a fork. Tell the story of the fork.
This fork was taken not entirely with permission from Anfield. So there you go. We took silverware from Liverpool.
Not entirely. Okay.
Well, in fairness,
you've got more silverware from the FCA than I am, essentially, with that board.
Exactly.
I've got a wooden picture frame. But yeah, I can't recommend the lads enough. Link in the description to the show that I've just done with them. And also, please make sure you subscribe and check them out. And especially if Burnley get the 3 points at the weekend. Yeah, I know you always do stuff on Twitter as well, don't you, lads? So fingers crossed you'll do a spaces and stuff. They'll do a spaces after the show like usual. I'll probably still be driving back at that point. You normally do it the night of, don't you? If I remember rightly.
Yeah, we do it.
Yeah.
Who was driving through McDonald's last time? Was that
me?
You?
It was me.
Was
it was me. Yeah.
I thought it was.
Yeah. So I'll probably be driving. I'll probably be halfway up the M6 next this time. So give me a shout if you want me on again, lads.
If you're up at the M6 while we're still doing a space, it's been a long one. I tell you, it's been a long one. Yeah, but no, you're welcome to come on, Joe, if you want to come on while you're driving. Drive safely. Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
for most people, getting the opposition on as they go through McDonald's kind of drive-through is unfortunate. For us, it's better content than normal, so that's no problem.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah, definitely. I can't recommend the lads enough. Links will be in the description to the shows and to their channel. But lads, thanks for coming on the show. I mean it in the nicest possible way, but I hope I don't see you next season. But even if I don't see you next season, I'll probably still see you the season after. But thanks for coming on the show. Good luck for the rest of the season. And good luck for next season, because probably don't really want good luck for the rest of the season, do you? You just want it all the way. But good luck for next season.
We'll take whatever's going.
Thank you very much. We need it. Appreciate it.
Safe travels if you're coming.
Yep. Cheers, lad. Thank you.